In the Balkans near the Adriatic Sea, there is a country called Bosnia and Herzegovina. This place is still not well known to some people. Some of you may be familiar with this country and have even visited it. It is a former Yugoslavian country with one of the two shortest coastlines in the world, where Muslims and Christians live side by side. This is where the assassination attempt that started World War I took place. This is the first country in Europe to use electric trams. So let's cover the capital city of Sarajevo, part of our one-week trip to Bosnia and Herzegovina in this video. We will share some interesting facts about the country and our own experiences in the capital. As always, we'll start with the geographical aspects of the country. If we look at Bosnia and Herzegovina on the map, we can see that Bosnia and Herzegovina has an area of 51,000 square kilometers. Let's compare its area with the neighboring Balkan countries. The country has a smaller area than Serbia, but almost the same size as Croatia. Bosnia and Herzegovina has a much larger area than Montenegro. There is also a very unusual situation related to the location of the country on the map, which is related to its borders with the sea. Many people think that Bosnia and Herzegovina is a landlocked country, but in fact, there is a coastal town called Neum in the very south of the country, which makes Bosnia and Herzegovina a neighbor of the Adriatic Sea. With only 21 kilometers of coastline, the country is not very popular for sea tourism. The city of Neum has the second shortest coastline in the world. The shortest coastline belongs to Monaco with a length of 4 kilometers. We can even say that Croatia's mainland territory is divided by Neum, the town of Bosnia and Herzegovina facing the sea. The Croatians have built a crossing called Pelješac Bridge over the sea to allow traffic to continue without entering Bosnia and Herzegovina. They actively use this route. On the other hand, Bosnia and Herzegovina today has an internal population of about 3.5 million. The best-known cities are the capital Sarajevo, Mostar, and Tuzla. The most populous city is, of course, the capital Sarajevo. Sarajevo is located in the central part of the country in the middle line. The population of the capital, together with the surrounding villages, is about 700,000 people. If we take a closer look at the map of the capital, we can see that the central structure of the city resembles a rectangle. So, when you go to Sarajevo, you can clearly see that the crowds of people and the density of traffic flow between the eastern and western lines. For example, the old historical bazaars, which are the most crowded and touristic places, are located in the eastern part of the city, while the business centers are located in the western part of the city. The Miljacka River, also known as the Sarajevo River, runs through the center of the capital and divides the city into two. In other words, as in almost every Balkan or European country, the capital of this country is built around a river. If we briefly touch on the history of the country, the known history of Bosnia and Herzegovina dates back to the Roman Empire. By 200 BC, the Roman Empire had expanded its territory to the geography of present-day Bosnia and Herzegovina. In the following centuries, the Byzantine Empire and Slavic tribes began to operate in the region. Then began the Balkan conquests of the Ottoman Empire. Therefore, the territory of today's Bosnia and Herzegovina was completely under Turkish control in 1482. The territory of today's Bosnia and Herzegovina remained under Turkish control until the fall of the Ottoman Empire, a huge period of more than 400 years. Of course, during this time, the Turks spread their culture and Islam throughout the Balkans. Today, an estimated 45% of the country is solidly Muslim, mostly Bosnians from the central part of the country. The south of the country is dominated by people of Croatian origin and is estimated to be 17% Croatian Catholic. In the northern and eastern parts of the country, Serbs are the majority, and 38% of the population is Orthodox Christian. In other words, Bosnia and Herzegovina is a place where people of all religions live together. Some even call the country's capital the Jerusalem of Europe. Especially in Sarajevo, the Jewish faith is very strong. For hundreds of years, Christians, Muslims, and Jews have lived together in this city. The most important event in the recent history of Bosnia and Herzegovina was the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, Duke of Austria-Hungary, by the Serbian nationalist Gavrilo Princip. Shortly after the assassination, a series of diplomatic and military actions took place between the great powers. As a result, the outbreak of the First World War was inevitable. This is exactly where it happened, and now it is a museum for tourists. As you can see, there are always crowds of people at the roadside, and this is one of the first stops for people coming to the country. Finally, after the breakup of Yugoslavia, Bosnia and Herzegovina engaged in heavy armed conflicts with both Serbs and Croats in many parts of the country. The number of deaths in these wars varies from source to source. It is estimated that at least 2 million people were displaced and at least 200,000 were killed in the fighting for independence. Now that we've talked enough about the geography and history of the country, let's continue with our own journey. Let's say you fly into the country via the capital city of Sarajevo. When you enter the airport, you will notice that it is not very big. If you take a taxi, as we did, taxi drivers will take you to the tourist center of the capital for an average of 20 euros. You can get a taxi to the city center for 25 euros. Or, if you are good at bargaining, you can get a taxi to the city center for 15 euros. For an average 4-night trip to the capital, you can easily find a 2-bedroom house for between 200 and 250 euros. The facades of the buildings in the bazaar area are at least 50 years old and in need of renovation. Again, the entrances and staircases of these buildings look a bit dated. But the interiors of the apartments are usually renovated and modern. For example, the house we stayed in had such a bedroom and bathroom, and it was very useful. Just be aware when you book your hotel that when the tram passes in front of the building you are staying in, the buildings literally shake, my friends. It can literally keep you awake at night. After a perfect night's sleep in the capital Sarajevo, when you enter the city, the first place you will visit, like many other visitors, is the old tourist bazaar. They also call it Bascarsija. I must say that Bosnians eat greasy pastries for breakfast, and they are right. These pastries can be filled with minced meat, cheese, or potatoes. They pour yogurt with high water content on the pastry according to your wish. I can say that their pastries are really delicious. In fact, I think this country has the most delicious pastries among all the Balkan countries. You can easily fill your stomach with an average portion of pastry for 10 or 12 Bosnian marks. Bosnian mark is the currency used in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The abbreviation for this currency is KM. If you want to hear something that will annoy you in this country, I would like to point it out with a problem you will encounter right at the beginning of your trip. Whether you're in a tourist area or a remote part of town, more than half of the businesses there don't accept credit cards. You can see this not only in small businesses, but even in large restaurants. If you want to pay after eating and drinking at the shops and the big bazaars, they will definitely ask you for cash. Some even write on their doors that they only accept cash. Restaurants accept euros, and 1 euro is equal to 2 Bosnian marks. As you move around the country, you will mostly use these 20, 50, and 100 bills. As the value of your money increases, so does its size. You can use your credit card only for hotel bills and supermarket purchases. Another bad thing about supermarkets is that almost no supermarkets are open on Sundays. Therefore, if you are going to Sarajevo on the weekend, you will have to do extensive shopping on Saturday for basic needs such as water. If you want to analyze why businesses do not accept credit cards, I think the only valid reason is that they are avoiding taxes. As in any country, businesses that do not accept credit card purchases do not want to document the products they sell and require cash on hand. Thus, the state tax authorities cannot audit these sales and demand taxes. I think that businesses in Bosnia and Herzegovina do not want to use credit cards precisely because of bank commissions and lower taxes. If you put aside the credit card problem and visit the bazaar after breakfast, you will quickly come across the biggest symbol of the capital, Sarajevo. This is the tourist area known as Bascarsija, and perhaps the biggest tourist symbol of the city is this fountain. Everyone who goes there takes pictures in front of the fountain, just like these people. In fact, if you go to Sarajevo in spring and summer, you probably won't have a quality photo in front of the fountain. Because people will pass you all the time and they will be in your photo involuntarily. If you study the fountain for a few seconds, you will see that this fountain is very clearly Ottoman architecture. After conquering Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Ottoman Empire built mosques, inns, towers, and fountains in many parts of the country. These fountains were intended to provide free water for people and stray animals. Although Sarajevo was subjected to a major war in the 1990s, the fountain in the main bazaar was not destroyed and managed to survive. As a result, the fountain has become one of the iconic symbols of Sarajevo. There are also mosques in different places in the same bazaar and fountains where people can drink water for free. In my opinion, don't pay for water when you walk through the bazaar and fill your bottle with the cold and delicious water that flows from these fountains. Because Sarajevo shopkeepers are a bit out of line with the prices of some products. If you buy water from a kiosk or restaurant in the bazaar, they will sell you a small bottle of water for about 1 or 2 euros. For example, if there are 2 people, it doesn't seem wise to pay 3 or 4 euros for 2 small bottles of water. Walking around the city, it is often unclear who is a tourist and who is a local. Because the tourist potential of Bosnia and Herzegovina is clearly made up of people from other Balkan countries with similar genetics. The most frequent visitors to the country in terms of tourism are Turks, Serbs, and Croats. You will see many people of all ages in the city. Let's observe the human structure of the capital. Especially in the city, there are many beautiful young ladies. Almost every one of them looks well-groomed and modern. Some women may be covered with a turban, while others have their heads uncovered with their hair visible. Bosnian women have visibly light skin and even mostly white skin. Some women wear colorful burqas as part of their faith. These women are the ones who are more religious than usual. For example, go to a mosque in the capital. If you look at the people who are praying afterward, you will see that women often pray in the mosque with their bodies covered. Men also pray in mosques at different times of the day. Mosques in Sarajevo are not only places of worship, but also places where people rest and chat in shaded areas. Mosques have fountains for worship and for needs, and clean water flows from these fountains at all hours of the day. The majority of people in Bosnia and Herzegovina have blue eyes and black hair. The majority of women are between 160 and 170 centimeters tall and not overweight. As for men, like women, they have white skin and mostly brown eyes. Men are tall and do not genetically inherit bushy beards. As a society, they don't tend to grow long beards and are mostly beardless. Both men and women in Sarajevo are extremely wealthy, modern, and well-groomed. Although the bazaar is large and elaborate, sometimes you can't find a place to enter the bazaar. Especially at noon, the bazaar is very crowded. Obviously, the capacity of the bazaar is not enough to accommodate so many tourists, because those who visit the bazaar to explore it miss the details they hope to see because of the crowds and have to just walk around. In the narrow streets of the bazaar, you can hardly focus on any detail because there is always a crowd of people in front of you. This can spoil your walks in the center of Sarajevo. You will also be exposed to beggars in the bazaar asking for piles of money or people coming up to you to sell you their small products. I can say that there are many families with babies in Sarajevo. If we look at the names that Bosnian people give to their children, names like Mariam, Sara, Amina, Layla, Asha are in the forefront for women. For boys, people give their children names like Harun, David, Ali, Ahmed, Kadim, and Omar. As you can imagine, these names are mostly rooted in Christianity and Islam, and are preferred by Bosnians. As you can imagine, Bosnian, Serbian, and Croatian are the most widely spoken languages in the country. In addition, the pronunciation and vocabulary of these 3 languages are often very similar. For example, if you say zdravo to a local person in Sarajevo, they will easily understand that you are greeting them. Or if you say koliko for a product you want to buy, they will tell you the price of the product. Similarly, if you ask kako si, you are saying how are you to that person. On the other hand, if you want to thank a Bosnian person, you should say hvala. You can also be sure to hear a lot of Turkish expressions in Sarajevo. Bosnia has a 450-year history of Ottoman rule, so a significant number of visitors to the country are from Turkey, so the locals understand and speak Turkish well. There are even those who hang Turkish flags in the windows to attract tourists to their restaurants.